Welcome, everybody. It is 4 o'clock and time to start the special meeting of the Harbor Commission, October 15th, 2025. It's open with roll call.
John Baker,
Here.
Cameron Hall, here, Eric Weinsman,
Here.
Bill McCall,
Here.
Lisa Nichols, here, Bill Brown,
Here.
Terrence O'Donnell, here, and Gail Stevens.
Here. Note that Greg and Tom are not here. Alrighty. You're doing this for every commission meeting. We don't have minutes from our last meeting. This is kind of a continuation of our last meeting. Victor says that it's a special meeting, which has different rules than a regular meeting. But I'm going to run this kind of like a regular meeting, and we can duke it out in the parking lot afterwards. So we don't have minutes to approve. I do have a couple things I want to change on the agenda here. We do have George Pete here from representing the Melgers 24 folks. So I want to add him to new business. And I want to rearrange the new business on the printed agenda to move the meeting schedule ahead of the roundtable discussion, which will include various correspondence from a couple of commission members and also from a member of the public. So I want to put those things into the roundtable discussion. And if anybody is here that wants to discuss anything other than those issues, public comment is now open.
Okay, public comment, but not us. Or you
Correct. We're gonna.
on the round table.
There have been a whole bunch of little issues that have kind of been put forward that we really haven't addressed in any detail, and I want to kind of sort through those and see what maybe belongs on an agenda for a future date and what is just kind of background noise. Not that everybody's ideas aren't important. We have no old business to attend to, so first new business is the Harbor Master Building Progress Report. And we had a document. Do you have that in front of you, Rachel? About the 4th page down, I think. No, 2nd page, my bad. So basically the building is moving right along. We have the architect who has been shepherding this project for us in residence. And so if anybody has any questions or comments that they'd like to address, now would be the time. Press the little button.
Am I on? Yeah. So I have a few items to discuss regarding our voter space. So if you'll indulge me just for a few minutes. Due to space and money, we'll never really rival the surrounding facilities at the marinas that I have on our chart that we did some benchmarking a while back. However, there's a few things we can do to optimize our approximately 12x9 voter space besides just being a laundry. Please let me set the stage a minute, and then I'd like to hear some feedback from everyone. First of all, I need everyone to put on your transient voter's hat. You are either on a 36-foot sailboat or you're on a 45-foot trawler. Due to limited storage, you do not have any laundry facilities on your boat. You're cruising the Great Lakes, and after coming across the Erie Canal from New York, and you're on your loop tour. After leaving Mackinac City, and as you come into Little Traverse Bay, you see you have 2 city marinas that you can go to, Petoskey and Harbor Springs. You read on Active Captain that both marinas take reservations. They both have shopping, they're cute towns, and they have laundry facilities. Even though Harbor Springs is a bit more money, you have read on Active Captain that the harbor master is really helpful and nice, so you decide to give Harbor Springs a try. You get tied up at the dock, and you decide to go in and do some laundry. Since you work from your boat, you take your laptop and your laundry to the harbor master building and you head to the boater space. As you approach, you peer through the windowed interior door and you see that the room is empty and the washer and dryers are available. You also see 2 comfy chairs and a small table where you can set up your laptop as your laundry spins. After getting your laundry going, you sit down, set up your laptop, and you take a moment to look at the large open window to the east. You see boats cruising in the harbor and you see gardens along the waterfront. The room is filled with natural light, a nice breeze is blowing through the window, and the space seems very pleasant. This is the environment we should try to create for our transient and seasonal boaters in our boater space. To do this though, 3 actions are required. Here's my proposals for you to consider. The east wall window opening and the boater space is larger than in the drawings from 2024. That's great. However, the window opening is too high. It is 48 inches from the floor, and the only view a boater will have when sitting in a chair is one of the sky. If any of you have attended any city council meetings or any planning commission meetings, you know that everyone in Harbor Springs wants a view of the water. Why shouldn't the boaters get a view of our beautiful harbor as they wait for their laundry to spin or maybe work on their laptop? So proposal 1 is the east wall window needs to be lower so you can see out to the water when sitting. If you agree, how can we get this changed ASAP? Proposal 2, the interior entrance door into the boaters area should have a window. This will help add more natural lighting and will make the room seem more opening and welcoming. If you agree, how do we make sure that this type of door is reflected in the most current drawings? And proposal 3, the 2024 drawings are showing 4 washers and 4 dryers for the laundry. Based on low expected usage, I believe we approved 2 washers and 2 dryers last summer to be competitive with the benchmark marinas you see on my chart. They could be located on the south wall of the room, which backs to the men's boaters restroom, and could vent through the roof as the men's shower exhaust fans do now. This would leave the north wall for 2 chairs and a small table. If you agree, how do we make sure we are only paying for 2 washers and dryers and that this is reflected in the most current drawings? So now, transient boaters, your laundry's finished, you finished your work project, and you've taken a few moments to gaze out on the harbor. You will write a great review on Active Captain about your wonderful experience at Harbor Springs, hoping to return someday. As boaters, we know what boaters want and need. I think our job is to advise on the boaters' space. Harbor Commission and commissioners, could we hear maybe some feedback on my proposals? And then if we agree to some of them or all of them, maybe we could get to the project's point person to implement. Yes, Eric.
Sorry, I'll push the button. And that nice little fantasy that you were describing. I don't know how big of our goal it is to make the boater space super comfortable. My personal experience is that people are gonna whip their laundry in the machine, go back to their boat and come back in 20 minutes. But I mean, I think changing the door, that's probably $1,000 upgrade to go to a half-light window and then the same size. That's probably not a major, but if you want to change the window openings in the structure, we got to go back to the architect. It's got to be reviewed by an engineer, and then plans have to be submitted and a permit changed. That's a little more complex. So I feel like we missed our window on that. But the door is probably pretty easy to change.
Well, if it was a rainy day, it was a nice day, I would agree with you. If it's a rainy day, I've been in many a place where I'm very far back on the marina to the boat. And I would just stay there and I would read a book or do something. So I do think based on what the other marinas have, that we could create something like that. I guess if we do really have 4 washer and dryers spec'd, just by taking 2, 4, if we only are gonna have 2 washer and dryer, right there, we're saving about $3,000. I don't really know, Mark can tell us, how much it is to bang out a few more big cement blocks down below. But, you know, I really think we're only gonna do this once in our lifetime. And I really hate to not take advantage of that view from that east window that looks out onto the harbor. I hate to put a window in there that, unless you're just standing or something, you know, you're not gonna really see them.
Anybody else?
I like that idea of opening it up and creating a little bit more space in that room by reducing the number of washers and dryers and having more natural light in there. I know we'd also talked about potentially having some kind of boaters lounge. Well, this could be a hybrid, a laundry room lounge for people who might want to come together in a space when the harbor master's office is full of workers, people bustling around. So I can see some benefits to it. The other question I had was the outside door, is that clear? It's not clear to me. Is that coming out to the parking lot? The drawing that I have looks like it's coming out to the parking lot, the back side. That would be the north side of the building. Is that right? Mark? I don't know.
I could weigh it now.
Yeah, I think, we heard from Mark. Go ahead. I'd like Gail to have a chance to speak for a second.
Okay, I'll speak.
And then Bill.
Thank you. Lisa, your input's valuable. I'm not sure of the timing of the project. I heard it's moving right along. I don't know if the underground plumbing has been done for the drains. I'd like to, when you talk about, has the rough-ins been done? Has the water lines been roughed in? Is the electrical roughed in? Depending on the timing of that, did we miss the window for getting that done without incurring additional engineering costs, architectural costs, and or timing of the project? There was comment at last meeting about it missing its completion date. This could alter that ability. And once the contracts are let, it's sometimes very difficult to just turn the ship around. That's Mark, is that kind of some of the things you're going to cover?
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
I just had one question about four washers and dryers. I'm not a cruiser, so I wouldn't really know. But for here, I would think 2 stackables would be more than enough. Washer on the bottom, dryer at top. And as far as the furniture goes, that's basically after the fact. We can buy furniture. We don't buy chairs and a small table, a folding table for laundry. Although you just stuff it back in the bag that you brought it in, it'll be clean. But you know, some people would like to fold, maybe towels or something. That's the only thing I can see. More light, always good. I love that. But Mark's the guy with the answers as far as the progress.
Bill?
Don?
You got one more.
There you go, John.
Yeah, bring it up close.
I think that we're missing an opportunity to make this as nice a room as possible. We don't do the enlarged window in the glass entry door. Having more space, if the plumbing's been done already, we can add extra washer dryer. But it seems to me that enlarging the hole for the window shouldn't be that budget. But I think we'd be remiss not doing that while we have the opportunity. We'll never go back and get a retrofit bigger window, I'm sure. So I'm very much in favor of Lisa's ideas.
Before Mark answers our questions, I'd like to say that this design has been tossed around and contract's been written, and anything other than blazing ahead with the goal of on time and under budget, I would probably be against, because I'd rather have the money for our next project. And we can rearrange washers and dryers after the building's built if we really feel like we need a terrible air there. But that's what I think. Mark?
Okay, well, you all raised good questions, and it's an interesting proposal. But we could have it 2 years ago.
Well, my drawing from last year shows a 2 foot by 4 foot window, where now it's 62 inches. So somehow it got changed.
Well,
So,
we
sounded like we
redid
could've.
the project, and things
Yeah.
changed when we did the project.
Okay,
But essentially, to address your concern first, Lisa, you had 3 proposals. The second one, from my perspective, you can do one of this. The first one
You can lower the window, you can do that, so you can do that, so you can, and there's already a glass in the door from the laundry room into the hallway.
Okay,
So we made that
Good.
change, we talked with Mike and Victor, and
okay,
we
good.
thought that we needed, for security reasons, so Mike can look down the hallway and see what's going on. Cause that's his door that secures the office space from the voters' areas. And at the same time, I felt like for security reasons, there should be a window in the laundry room. So we did that as well. That's already happened.
Okay,
It
good.
didn't cost any more money. We got it done in time. The biggest issue is the washers and dryers in the area. This room has to meet ADA requirements. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. We have 2 stackable washers and dryers now on the one side, and on the opposite side, we have the ADA washers and dryers and the ADA countertop. That's required, period. That cannot be changed.
Does
The
it have to
same
be
thing,
supermarket?
if there's furniture that's laid out, the layout also has to accommodate clearance requirements for ADA, people in wheelchairs and things like that, period. There's no arguments. And there's not enough room. That room has always been a laundry room. It has never been a voter space in any of the programming that I've worked on for over 2 years. So it's always been a laundry room, it's utilitarian. And right now, we can't take out, for ADA reasons, we'd have to rework the whole space. And you still would have to have 2 low washer and dryer,
That would be fine.
and then a stackable. Well, the sanitary work has already been done. The slab's been cut out, the sanitary is in, water lines haven't run yet. In this area. They're starting to frame up the addition, and then that's after we get that done, then and get the roof on, then they'll do the electrical and plumbing roughings. Right now, all the underground work is done. So to go forward with this change, there's 2 issues. One is gonna be money. Yeah, it won't cost much to lower a window, but then you got one window high, the one that's over the countertop, and one window is gonna be low. Right now, they have the same head and sill heights. That's a bit goofy, in my opinion, as so the money is one issue. Time is another more critical issue. This project was bid with a drop dead date of completion, period. There's a penalty to the contractor if you go past that date. And a change of this magnitude would automatically extend the construction timeline by some period of time. Because we'd have to redesign the whole room. It would not be inexpensive. I can't tell you how much, but it won't be inexpensive. My biggest concern is time. Because when you have a contract where the contractor is penalized by missing a finishing date, time is of the essence. And this would fall squarely on top of the owner of the city, that this was their cause, and the contractor, as any contractor would do, would extend that period for a period of time, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, I don't know. But it depends how critical that date is.
So Mark, one question. I only have a drawing from 2024. And it shows like 2 washers against the men's bathroom. And it shows washer, dryer, washer, dryer.
Yep.
The 2 that are right here, are those?
That's not current drawing.
Okay,
We should have a current drawing.
we don't have any. Oh, if somebody else does, I don't. So anyway, where does the ADA ones go? Could they go against the men's restroom, and the ADA, that whole wall could be washer and dryer all low?
They have to be able to go underneath the counter too. They have to be a roll underneath the counter.
Right,
So we're still gonna have to have the counter space so they can roll under. We also have a laundry sink in that room too.
right.
I mean, it can be done, but it's gonna cost you time and money. You know, I work for the city, so, I'll do what's required, but I have to caution you that, I don't know what it's gonna cost, but my bigger concern is time. And, this project's moving along very well, it's very quick. The things that are listed up there have all been done. The foundation's been done, sanitation's been done, the slab's been poured, the new slab. All the underground that concrete slab has been removed and it's starting to frame, so they're moving right along, they have. It's nature of the beast, in order to get good weather. You get good
Yeah,
weather.
we understand that. I just wish we had had a more current drawing. Because I know that there's no other marina that has that many washers and dryers from my research.
I followed the program I was given, as we discussed it, with
and
all the people who worked on the program for the building.
Yeah,
Came up with that number, and that's why it's.
But the ADA compliance, people without disabilities can use the ADA machines. So why would we have to have four if we just had two ADA compliant?
No, there's two ADA, the lower ones are the ADA, the two stacks are not. And if they're in there because that's what was in the program to put in, and that's what I did.
Okay, when you said two washers and two dryers for ADA,
No, one washer and one dryer for each, I misspoke.
and then the other is two stackable.
Yes, and then two stackables beside that, total of 6 machines. That was in the program, and that's what's in the building.
Are there two sets of stackables? Is that what
Yes,
you're
we
saying?
said it that way.
But then one set up for
The
80.
lower ones for ADA.
All right, not hearing a motion, I think maybe we should move along.
Well, let me think about this a minute. So the doors you said are taken care of.
Yes,
So the plumbing goes in the floor. And we only utilize. So right now, the ADA ones you're putting on the north wall, is that what you're saying?
yes, the lower ones.
Okay. And they could not, there wouldn't be enough room in that approximately 12 foot with the laundry tub to go on that south wall.
Yeah, I can't tell you right now,
Okay,
Lisa. I'm not
okay.
gonna commit to something when I can't look at it
Okay.
and drawing and.
And that's why I'm not gonna commit to giving up yet till I know what you tell me, and then I will give up if I have to. Because if we could put them there, and we have the other plumbing, it goes in the floor. We just don't use it.
Well, there's a little asterisk next to
Okay.
all of this,
Okay.
which is the slab that's there turned out to be much more massive
I
than
saw
anybody
it,
imagined.
yeah.
So that's going to contribute, because when we recut, we have to get the sanitary lines in the new location. That's gonna take, probably a little bit more similar to what we probably had. So, just want to put that out there.
Yeah, 'cause I
It's
saw
not,
that.
it's not a 4, didn't turn out not to be a 4 or 6 inch slab.
No, I saw that when I was in there
Yeah, it was like. where
doing
did that
some
come
measuring.
It's a foundation.
But the ADA is really the crux of the situation.
Right. And that's the thing
Everything.
I'd like to get, but I'd like to put it on that south wall.
Well, to do that, there'd be a design process that would be authorized by the city
Right,
to do.
right.
So
But we need the info from you to see if it's even feasible,
I
even possible.
can't tell you that without doing the work. I
Oh,
can't do the work
I see.
unless I'm authorized by the
I
city to
see,
do it.
I see.
Thank you, Lisa. Moving on. Mike, you wanna go ahead and, you got cut off trying to do your harbor master report last time.
Love to, Are you? Oh, public comment, are we already past that?
I think there,
I had no public comment.
does anybody else have any questions for Mark before he speaks off the other things he needs to do? No?
Nothing, just
Lowering that one window. You think it would be a mistake aesthetically, I take it?
Yeah, because then you have one window up high and one window down low in the same room. That's a big deal.
But you don't really see them from the same side. You see one from the, one from the.
It's- See that the room is the outside of the room. I mean, it's-
Bill, you had a question too?
Well, I just want to say, it seems like the gap comes between changes that you talk to the city about that we are not privy to, even though we've looked at the drawings and said, this is what we'd like to do.
We're
It's
not the
not you.
ultimate authority.
I'm sorry?
The city is the ultimate, the city council is, we advise the council.
Yes, and we did on a specific set of drawings, which got changed and we weren't advised about it. If we were in a timely fashion, we may have had other questions.
We're not the ultimate arbiter on this.
I'm sorry?
The city contracts with experts like Mark to put the
I
put the
understand.
design together and do the contract and all that sort of thing.
You're
I
missing my
think,
point.
I think it's inappropriate.
We approve one thing and something else gets done. We're the ones that are doing the advising to the city council. They're not advising us. We said what we wanted, it was talked about, drawings were laid out, and we approved them. And they got changed, no fault of Mark's, he's working with the city, that's who works with him. I'm just making the point that the gap comes between the city and us.
Yes, we'd have to go to.
It's an interesting viewpoint. I'd like to move on. Mike?
Anybody else?
No,
Just making sure.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Just like in 24, we had another slow start to the season. A lot of it because I've never seen so many bug invasions. You got a lot of people that wouldn't launch their boats until we could promise the midges were gone. I think Meyer Hardware sold a lot of leaf blowers to try to blow them off the boats. Even that didn't work. But anyway, once again, the Boyne City Yacht Club joined us in mid-June. That was a great jump start to the season. We had over 25 boats with us for that weekend, which was awesome. And the unlimited stay concept, again, as we have said before, beginning when your boat goes in the water, the opening day, you can keep it on the dock with us right through the 5th of July. That kept us full after the Boyne City group. And the week before the 4th, we were probably 99% full with a couple of spaces, tiny spaces over in the east wall, which Karen might know from trying to wedge summer souls in there. So. And then right before the 4th of July, or after the 4th of July, business was solid right through August. We had another great regatta. We hosted 37 boats this year, which was more than we've ever had on the dock. We managed to get them all in there without having to raft too many boats off the wall. And then we had the Little Traverse Cup again. The 52 fleet came back to us, which is just a real shot in the arm for August. And then we had a 3-day rendezvous for the Sabre and Back Cove Yachts. It's a local company, Down East Yachting, sponsored. I think they had 15 boats with us again. None of that was part of the state system. We kept that all under our registration system. Once again, need to thank my staff. I had Pat Rowe and Allie Keffer come back to us this year. Lily Graham took a job down in Lansing, so we missed her terribly this year, but we'll fill the gaps with some folks next season. Julia Clark and Steffi Reskovics, 2 high school kids, juniors, came to us this year. So we'll see them for a couple more years right through college, which is going to work out really well for me. Rhonda Honeyset, Tina's mom, took care of the geraniums for us on the dock and on the north wall and did a wonderful job for us taking care of those. We always get a lot of compliments about those. And Bob Toma rocked it down at Ford Park again, as he always does. One thing I did want to talk about that's probably on your sheet already. We started late with the DNR reservation system, so it was a little rough on us this year. We did have some bugs to work out to start things up, but once we got in the flow, and the state was really helpful in solving any issues for us over the phone, we got that going really well. So we had the ability to help out several boaters as float-ins, and being able to keep the west wall and regatta dockage and the east wall to ourselves really helped us out a lot bottom line wise. So to the numbers, seasonal dockage, and need to amend that number. We had another $1,500 since last Wednesday in overdue dockage. So we came to 250 or 217, somewhere in there. So we're just about even with last year. Transient dockage all told, or seasonal dockage, excuse me, I forgot to add that number. Seasonal dockage stayed the same, but transient dockage, you need to add another $1,500 to that amount. Seasonal moorage came to 85,804. Transient moorage came to 4635. Dinghy and kayak storage was 17,530. Lunch ramp revenue was down a little bit from last year, 13,600. Electric sales were at 365. That number decreased quite a bit this year because the state adds a $5 charge to your registration when you choose 30 or 50 amp power. We give away 30 amp power. We charge $5 for 50 amp hookup. The state charges $5 for both the 30 and the 50. So that revenue decreased because we didn't see that come into our totals. Charter ice sales were 2643. Charter, we sold probably $2,000 of that to the GL52 fleet when they're here for regatta, and then when they came back for the Little Traverse Cup. Ice sales were 2643. Our charter and commercial licenses is the same as last year at 2680 because we did not raise those fees in 24. And total boat numbers for power and sail was up 49 boats from last year with 754 boats registered, joining us for another 100 days, 3433 for the season. And one more thing to mention, I handed out a flyer or a letter to you guys that we got from the 52 Cup. They'd like to come back to us again next season, the same time frames, August 4th through 9th. And we will once again be hosting, Linda's talking about 8 boats right now, which would be perfect for where we need to keep those guys on the inside of the West Dock. And I guess we need maybe a motion on that, Bill, or maybe just an acceptance of the letter and make it happen. For the 52 Cup.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions relative to, us allowing the 52s to reserve, what, up to 8 boats?
Yep.
During the weekend of August, 4th to 9th.
It's actually a Tuesday through Sunday.
Tuesday through Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. We've done this in the past and I think it's gone really well. The people, the ice cream people really love looking at the boats. And it's good for the town to have those spectacle there.
Good for plumbers too.
That's right.
You know, 52 owner and.
I can, yeah, I've got one random question. I'm a guilty party and part of why I'm asking is selfishly motivated. Do we have anybody complain about the piles of sails and things that we leave on the dock? I mean, is that a concern? Because over the last 3 years, more and more teams are adopting these huge bags that we can put sails in to keep them dry. And the docks are pretty cluttered.
We had one issue with that this year, and that was Wizard came to us probably like the day or two before the event started. And had a powerboat in the slip 14, which is one right inside the end of the T. And Wizard thought they were gonna in that dock, so they put all their sails and dock boxes and all that stuff over there. And this gentleman bitterly complained, so I went out and moved all their bags without them knowing when they were gone out the dock. So that was the only complaint we had. And those guys have gotten really good. I mean, I've basically discussed with them what we need to see on the dock, and they've been really good about getting their stuff compacted and taken care of. So
I know you busted me once with a fuel can out there. That was by accident, but I just didn't know if we needed to put any controls into that because that pile is getting pretty big. I think most people that walk out there are out there to look at the 52s and they want to see all that stuff and all that, hear the funny accents and all that, see the race team stuff. I was just curious.
I can add that to whatever we do to those guys. As
I
far
don't
as
think we
that goes.
need to. I just was wondering.
I don't think it's a problem.
Okay.
So all in all, I think it was a pretty successful season for us. We met what we thought were our goals and did a little bit better than I thought we would. And the state helped out a lot, but using our own system really continues to work out for us. So
That's really encouraging. The state was so helpful.
they were super helpful. Yeah. Yep. That's what I had and what we've got.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Anybody want to make a motion on the GL 52 request?
I'll make one. Yeah, we
Moved
accept
by
the
Bill.
GL
Second.
52.
I'll make a motion that we approve the GL 52 request as written.
You might want to demur because you have a conflict of
That's
interest.
a good point. Although I won't be participating in that regard.
Close enough. I think we still have a quorum. Well,
Bill has a motion.
yes.
And motion seconded.
Karen second. We'll just do voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Moving on. Next, I would say let's do George and whatever you'd like us to hear about your upcoming festivals.
Sure. Sorry I couldn't make it the last time. I was attended remotely. It wasn't the best, but I think it was somewhat okay. I guess, to start with, I'll give you a little bit of an overview of kind of where we're at and what we're expecting. Ideally, we get to kind of do 3 separate events over the course of the summer, 2 much smaller than the actual World Championship. People really want to come here, practice in the venue, experience Harbor Springs, check it out, get a feel for it. This is a pretty big deal. These are the top sailors. A lot of the same guys who race the 52s also race these smaller boats. So some are familiar with the area, a lot aren't. The first weekend we're targeting is the second to last or last weekend in June. And that would be what we call a coaches regatta, where the coaches run the event. Solely hosted by LTYC, not really asking for anything from the Harbor Commission. The competitors of which I would expect sort of between 6 and 12. Will be completely on their own for dockage, so they'll have to call Irish or Wallstrom or go through the state system. Or call Mike and arrange for their own dockage. Yeah, will run the racing, and that's kind of that. The second event, which would be what we typically call the pre-worlds, is a little more formal. That's where we have the actual race officers show up to run the event. Again, we would be asking a little bit from the city as far as using this parking lot. And, you know, maybe a little bit of help from the harbor master with dockage, but not really, as far as like maybe reserving a few spots on each wall. And again, that's probably no more than half of what the actual world championship fleet would be.
This lot would be for trucks and trailers. You're gonna
Correct.
do massed up
Yep.
launch boats, so
Yep, because people will be able to trailer launch their boats, pay for travel lift services at Irish or Wallstrom.
how much space do you think you would need of that lot?
At that stage, which is the August 29th weekend, probably like 12 spaces or something.
Okay.
And I've kind of been keeping tabs on it, that the thing empties out pretty quickly about August 15th or 20th, it seems like. But the city also uses it for stuff, so.
Yeah, I'm not aware of what else the city, construction or whatever. Usually the end of August, we're not doing street construction, snow storage and the other things we use that lot for. Not aware of anything. Okay.
And if it's a space issue, we can encourage people to park next to the police station, between the police station and the football field,
Yeah.
leaving that parking lot
Yeah,
relatively open.
Really, the parking at Ottawa Stadium is just,
Yeah.
it's just parking for anybody that wants to park there.
Well, there is a dirt lot for trailers is what we're after, so,
Right, the one over here.
well, no.
South of the
Between the
dirt lot.
police station and the football lot.
oh
Okay,
yeah, that's what there is, okay.
yeah, I thought we were talking about this lot.
No, well, we were for these guys, but separate for trailer boats.
Yeah, regardless, sorry.
It
So,
sounds like we have space.
yeah, right around anticipating half the fleet, so between 20 and 30 boats for that. And then for the main event, September 22nd through the 26th, we're expecting sort of between 40 and 60 boats. I think 40 to 50 is realistic. There was a lot of concern from the Festival of the Book, which we still need to work through some things with them. But initially, there was some miscommunication, and Joanne Stewart, who works with Festival of the Book, thought that we were going to require and request free/supplied housing for all of our competitors. Which I think is where a lot of the panic kind of stemmed from. I spoke with her last week and informed her that, in fact, all of these people are happy to rent houses, hotels, whatever, both in town, near Nubs Knob, Boyne Highlands, Bay Harbor, Petoskey, whatever. So that seemed to have quelled a lot of concern, but we still need to, work together to make sure that, I think we can really complement each other's events pretty nicely for the 3 days that we overlap. I think that's about it. So just any questions? Also, Tom Meyer, who is an LTYC board member, is our regatta chairman. And as we progress here, he'll be more and more the direct liaison between the event and probably the Harvard Commission in the city.
You're asking for, dockage, fairly particular. All the boats have to like be in the same place so that nobody's pulling any funny stuff.
For the September 22nd, for the actual world championship, yes. For everything else I've spoken about, they can be scattered, moorings, dock, whatever, wherever. But for the actual world championship, as I've spoken with Mike and kind of created this vision, I think that we can get all of the boats on the east wall, and I would really like to implement a med tie style of mooring system. Which, I think we could do either, like I mentioned previously, either on a permanent basis, and you guys can expand your revenue source on the east wall as the city, or on a temporary basis, and we only use it for this event.
describe what you would do for the temporary med.
So for the temporary Medmore,
All the commissioners know what Medmore means.
Yes.
I think we could get away with, how long is the east wall? It's about 100,
286 feet.
286 feet, so probably 240, 250 feet of 5/8 chain and probably 4, I don't know, like 1,500 or 2,000 pound mooring blocks. Set the blocks in, and Zach Jones agreed to help me lay the chain. And then, obviously the yacht club or the Melgus class has to buy and supply all of the mooring line for each, exact slip, because there has to be a string that goes from the dock all the way out to the chain that then typically you just pull up and tie an overhand loop into, and then secure your boat there and then the stern to the dock.
Mike, do you know if any sort of DNR involvement would be required to set those
Right.
anchors?
I couldn't say yes or no, Bill. No.
Yeah, that could be, I don't know that we can just plop moorings wherever we want.
Got it, okay,
So that would need to be investigated before we could commit to that.
okay,
And I think we would also want to debate among ourselves whether we want to do it just generally. If it's 4 blocks and a chain, that doesn't sound like anything would be a problem to me. And that's not going to be far enough out to really affect navigation.
No, because the pennant itself from the chain to the boat is relatively short.
I mean,
How far from,
a lot of times there's not even a point.
30 feet?
Right, because there's a rope that goes from the dock all the way out to the chain. The boats are 25 feet long essentially, so the mooring blocks and the chain would be set probably 30 or just over 30 feet out from the wall, parallel with the wall, so running north-south,
How many additional boats, if we were to employ that style, how many additional boats would be able to put on the east wall against what we do today?
We're probably 2/3 of what we're looking at for fleet size. These
So
guys,
there's an upside from a dollar and cents down.
there's an upside from a dollar and cent standpoint, but I think we'd probably, for one, we'd have better luck with the state if we looked at it as a temporary
Oh, no, I'm
situation.
just,
Right,
size.
but looking forward, I think I really can't see any of our voters accepting the idea that use the east wall on a regular basis. We get quite a few of those between, from the middle of May right through the end of August. I really can't see any of those people appreciating that idea. It'd be a tough sell.
got it.
Yeah. Which is why the temporary thing to me makes sense.
And George, you don't use a raft, like, how we've done during regatta. They
No,
don't like,
boats will, no, if you read the briefing, I don't know if it was supplied to you guys. Competitors are certainly expected to raft if needed or
Right.
whatever's.
so that would be the other alternative. If
Yeah.
for some reason we got
Rafting
turned
2 or
down by.
3 deep versus Medmore would be about the same boats.
Yeah, 3 is not really preferred, 2 is
2.
somewhat acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these people are spending $100,000 to $250,000 to come here for a week and compete. Typically don't really want to have to share very much, so.
To raise another point about
When they're competing.
there's mid-mooring ideas, if we get any kind of east breeze, a raft side tie to that east wall is precarious at best and
Yeah.
dangerous at worst.
Right.
But a med mooring, if they're bow out or even stern to, it's gonna be a lot safer. It's an east breeze, so that's something to consider.
Seems
Super
to me
common
that
practice, big
biggest
regattas. And it's a form of anchoring. If this is a temporary thing, this is just anchoring. I don't think we need to go talk to the DNR.
That's my thought as well.
Yeah.
If we do it as a temporary,
It's anchoring.
it's temporary. If we go for permanent, that's gonna be a whole nother animal, I would say.
Right. Well, permanent would definitely be a thing.
I would be inclined to try to set the mooring blocks as early as possible when there isn't any traffic and not put the chain out until much later in the season, again, when the traffic subsides. Just so that there's less stuff in the water, right? Like to not have the full system deployed until sort of 5 days before.
Who pays for putting those blocks in and removing them?
I have to raise money to do that.
Okay, that would be, and removing them would
Yeah.
be something I'd want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach did mention that perhaps the city of Harbor Springs has some mooring blocks that are not used, that are maybe not in the water. Don't know if there's truth to that or not.
I'd have to research that with Lucas.
Okay, and
I know
if
we
so,
did at one point, yeah.
if so, maybe we could use some of those. That would, I mean.
Zach pretty much has his finger on the pulse of that. Lucas would be or DPW would know for sure.
Well, Lucas and Zach together.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so, yeah, I guess the biggest thing is just the request for the space on the east wall for the actual event. And then I've got to work with the city on kind of all of my other requests as well as Festival of the Book.
If I met, there's a couple of things I finished up today. One was I met with Amy from Festival of the Book. They've already booked 15 rooms at the Colonial for their key authors. The rest of their authors stay with guests and are comfortable doing Airbnbs and VRBOs. Further, the advance team for the whole event, I know you didn't know they were here. They didn't want to be noticed. They came in, identified 5 stores, businesses in Harbor Springs that they will conduct business with. I checked this morning, one of those stores had the largest single sale they've ever had, and they've been in business for 4 years. Over $5,000, one single item for gift baskets for all the people in attendance. There are 4 other stores that will also benefit. Chose not to divulge who those were. But they're loving to come here. They want the world to know about Harbor Springs because there's so many people not from this continent that will be here. So it's a big event.
Yeah.
And it's very quiet. They just slipped into town, went around and did their homework and decided what they wanted to buy and went ahead and bought it.
Are you talking for the Festival of the Book or the Melgus?
No, for the Melgus.
Yeah. Yeah. We do, there's a lot of overlap with the event management between the 52 class and the Melgus 24s. This is all at kind of the tip of the pyramid as far as the actual sport. So these people travel from fleet to fleet throughout the world, either managing or competing in these events.
They also like gurneys.
He's likes that.
Any other questions?
One more. Under logistics requests on the handout, Free Worlds dockage is not part of or included in the entry. Does that carry through to the championships, the worlds?
Yeah, I mean, you and I spoke that we need to pay for the dockage.
Okay.
So we need to negotiate whatever that east wall is, you know, whatever that's gonna take or look like. For probably 45 to 50 competitors. So I would assume that you guys figure that out amongst yourselves and come back to me.
And we do right now discount rates for boats under 25 feet after Labor Day weekend, so there's that half off.
I was just gonna ask you about that.
Yeah.
Do we want to consider a special accommodation to get all this tax base into our community?
I think we're doing that with a discounted rate for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
If anybody have any objection to that, I think we just continue to carry that policy forward.
Yeah.
For this group especially, yeah. There's 50 boats we probably wouldn't see in another 5 years joining us in that month, so, yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to follow up on your statement, if I may. So we have gone to all the stores downtown. They're all going to participate in some sort. We're gonna have gift bags and they're gonna provide that and we're gonna buy some and so on. Our theme is that everything that we do from beer to trinkets to gift bags and everything is all gonna be Harbor Springs or Northern Michigan. So it's gonna be in Northern Michigan. We want them to go back with the feeling that this was the greatest we got. Our plan is to win the St. Petersburg Trophy, which is given to the club that put on the best regatta of the year. Melgus 24 Worlds in 24 won it out in San Francisco, right?
Correct, yeah.
They won it. The chairman there was gracious enough to give me his entire playbook. So if he won it, we can win it. So the other comment I want to make about coming to Harbor Springs is that longtime sailing friend of mine, Gary Jobson, I don't know if people know who that is, but he's probably one of the best sailors
in the world in the past 50 years, right, Bear?
Yep.
Yep. And he came up to me and said, hey, I heard you moved to Harbor Springs. I said, yeah. He said, do you know that I've sailed all over the world? And we have the greatest playground for sailboat racing in the world. With our deep water and our clean and our facilities and the friendliness of the community, we're really looking forward to this. We anticipate that we're gonna bring $1 million for that, to the community for that week. And I don't think that's an exaggeration.
No, I don't.
Rachel, are you aware of what the Festival of the Books are planning to do in the Marina Park relative to like a tent?
So usually the tent goes up for the Taste of Harbor and then it remains in Marina Park throughout the week. for
Okay,
Festival
so
of
that
Books.
space would not be available.
Yeah.
So I think Ford Park would be preferable, but I would think Shea is there enough space between the,
During the
There is-
week. Or, 'cause Festival of Books use Shea Park and Marina Park and for that weekend.
That's not a huge deal.
which
Those
leaves
times are
four.
different, not something you can talk to Festival of Books.
Our times are completely different.
Yeah, it's
Don't
very
really
strategic when Festival of Books uses the Marina Park
Okay,
tent
so-
for the Shea
so,
Park.
Where I'm going is we can do both.
Perhaps, we need to have some discussions and see if it would work. If it works, great. If not, that's fine too.
Yeah, tent's not gonna be a deal breaker.
The bigger thing though that I also need to discuss, sorry to keep dragging the time. The use of a mobile crane at Ford Park for 4 days at the beginning of our event and then for a day and a half at the end. To help launch and retrieve boats. It's haul out season for Irish Boat Shop. And it's kind of John Kunitzer has indicated to me that perhaps they wouldn't really have the capacity to deal with all of the boats that we might have. So the class, the regatta organizers are happy to pay for a mobile crane as long as I would have the permission from you guys to have it. I think after kind of scoping it out yesterday, I think just to the west of the westernmost launch ramp by the sign is the best spot because that's the deepest water. The pad that Wallstrom Dock and Dredge uses is ideal, but it's only about 2.5 feet deep for 100 yards out there.
I think they are gonna dredge next spring, are they not? Or
I
that's,
don't know where that stands. This body has approved Wallstrom Dock and because they're having the same problem with the low water with their barge.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
so
the rubber
that-
was in the water.
That may be
yesterday.
dredge. So if that is dredge at that point in time, they might be. I can't speak for them, but they do have a crane and if it was right there, that might.
Yeah.
Just the bee's knees from there.
Okay,
Anybody else have questions, comments?
Yeah, great opportunity.
Have you talked to the chamber and other business owners, restaurants, et cetera? Restaurants, for example, get packed for Festival of the Book. Lunch, dinner. How do you see all of these sailors having
Well,
food?
I mean, we'll be sailing all day.
Correct,
Our yacht club is planning on doing 3 or 4 dinners
right?
and
And will everyone go there? I mean, I'm just
For the
thinking of
most
the
part, yeah.
pressure on
Yeah, what
capacity of the restaurants.
what we're planning on is that every competitor in the race will receive a wristband that will allow them to have dinner at the club, so we're encouraging that. We know what the crowds are gonna be. There's only like maybe 1 or 2 evenings that they'll be on their own. But we're working with Pond Hill and other places that we can do some things, to ease the burden a little bit of downtown too.
Okay,
I mean, not everyone's going to be staying downtown, which means not everyone's going to be eating downtown either. And typically we sail until we're not off the water and people aren't wrapped up and out of there until sometimes 6 o'clock at night. So I don't know. I think I'm not entirely worried about it. I mean, we host this many people or way more during the 4th of July week and during the regatta weekend. I think it's going to be totally fine. Any other questions?
Bill, do you want a motion?
So, well, I think we got a couple questions. First is, are we cool with these guys hanging out on our dock, which I think we could do like a motion, somebody want to move that would let them use our dock?
So moved.
Second. We got 4 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, and then the other thing is the Med More request. I guess we should have somebody who knows it better than I do determine whether we need permission to be dropping a block in that particular space. We're not dropping it in the mooring leased area. So I think we should at least make an effort to find out if we're cool to do that, and then if it's allowed, then do we want to do it? I think if it's, my personal opinion is if it's temporary, I don't see a problem with that.
The suggestions are made to just go ahead and do it. That's what I heard.
Just
Yeah.
put them down.
Susan?
Looks like an anchor.
If you have an area where there are a lot of boats moored or docked that is temporary, typically as long as people know it's there, because that's the thing with permanent versus temporary. When you're anchored, you're required to display a light that says you're anchored. And I would think the same logic might apply here, but I'm sure you can check it with the DNR without. I don't think you'd get penalized for asking the question at the DNR. I think it would be safe to do that. But, and actually, I think it's Coast Guard plus DNR, because the Coast Guard, because of the navigation issues and marking boats. that
Right.
are moored.
So do you have in your Rolodex who we would contact on that?
I can work with Mike and figure that out.
Okay, yeah, you want to handle
I've
that?
already got a couple of ideas of who to call. So.
Okay, so I guess I would move that if it's okay with the greater authorities, that we allow at least temporary placement of a Med-More chain.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay, second.
Can I ask a question? So they're gonna be going stern, from the dock out to the bow, 24 feet approximately. So does that get in the way of getting to the courtesy dock? I don't have the visual clear in my head.
I looked at a map on it, and I think between the mooring field buoys and the dock is probably 100 feet,
Okay.
more or less. So
It's workable then.
I think it's navigable. I don't think it would be a problem.
I also, I'm looking at an aerial image of it right now. I also don't think. Right, I think we could push everything to the south pretty hard. And kind of keep that whole space like around the corner of the harbor master and the west entrance to the courtesy dock.
The little zigzag that the dock does is where the pump out is.
Yeah, so.
On courtesy docks, there's a fair amount of space there.
Yeah, I think we can push, I mean, if we do this, we could fit 35 boats in there very easily and push it pretty far to the south. And keep that whole entry and exit pretty unobstructed.
And by then too, we're gonna see some vacant slips on that east dock, on the inside of the east dock, and also the very end of the east dock will accommodate.
There will be competitors who will be happy to and would love to pay to have their own slip. So that will also be a thing.
But I think the temporary med mooring alleviates a lot of issues right off the bat, yeah, for sure.
Do you see that as a big plus going forward, just generally being able to Med-More there, you think?
Being on a permanent basis?
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't strike me as something that would sell with somebody with a little outboard.
Nope. That's why.
Which is most of what ties up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so I think I made a motion that mentioned the word temporary. Can you?
And then cranes.
Okay, we'll deal with that next. This is the Med-More question. Do you have what I said?
Yeah, I have Nicola and Brown as a second for the temporary moorings pending any needed approvals.
Yes,
Is that correct?
MED mooring. Yeah, pending okay with the authorities. Let's do a roll call on this for last. John?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Kind of agree. Yes.
Good. Lisa?
Yeah.
Bill?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay.
But can I clarify a question?
Sure.
I've already voted yes, I get it. But, cost, you're picking up the cost.
Yeah,
And it's agreed that the cost to put them down, cost to pull them up.
And.
Is there any hardship if they don't pull them?
I think we can leave that up to city staff to negotiate a
Contract, I think.
deal, yeah. And you indicated you'd have to raise money to do that too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance they don't have the money and this doesn't happen. So I have to think about
Okay,
it.
but as far as we're concerned, you're okay to do it as long as you pay for it.
Okay.
Cool. And then the other question was the crane issue. Can you clarify?
Yeah, so usually I think like Harbor Crane, kind of the smallest mobile crane they have, I think is a 20-ton. Which has about a 80-foot reach with their boom, and that's like a short semi-style truck. It's probably 40 feet long. You know, the goal would be to set that thing up and have it set up September 19th. So starting the Friday before, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, have it set up for 3 days.
So you want them to be able to park somewhere that they can reach over to what we would call maybe the ferry dock.
Yeah.
And the vessels would get lifted off their trailer and plopped into the water next to the ferry dock, move away, do the next one.
Correct, yeah.
And then that would stay there for the whole time?
mean-
Unless it makes more sense to use washrooms or whatever you figure out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If they have to go make money with their crane, then they have to leave. If you guys say that they can't stay there, then they can't stay there.
Would you be leaving it there for retrieval at the end of the week?
It wouldn't stay there all week,
Right.
no way.
It'd be off-site by Monday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. at the
Yeah,
latest,
Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, be gone, and then it would return.
And where would it be parked? On the grassy area?
Yeah, I think somewhere kind of right behind the sign where the rates are public for using the launch ramp, somewhere in there.
Uh-huh.
And then we get to use the pad if the whole area gets dredged
I
to
don't know
5
if that
feet.
sidewalk is support.
Right.
I talked to Lucas about this the other day. His suggestion was to park it on the west side of the launch ramp. Like, you know, there's a launch ramp goes down the middle, park it on the west side of one of those slots, that lane. And by then, traffic's pretty much minimal.
So
with the
actually
launch ramp.
on the launch ramp. right?
On the concrete and also on the asphalt, so you're not gonna be damaging the grass.
Yeah,
Okay.
That'd be the object.
What about damaging the launch ramp? Because it's kind of crumbly in some places.
Well, you're not gonna be that deep. You basically be on the asphalt, the transition from the asphalt to the
Right.
concrete, you'd be behind the concrete. Is the idea,
yeah.
yeah. And they'd be using huge pads. I've seen them do this before.
Yeah, distribute the weight.
Yeah, distribute the weight of the outriggers, so that's the most
Yeah,
important. thing.
those guys don't wanna destroy the substrate that they're on.
Right.
either. That's too dangerous if you're a crane operator, you know?
Yeah.
Like they'll leave, they won't do it if it doesn't look very good.
And it would be there what days?
That would be September 19th through the 22nd, I believe.
Yeah, question, would it be possible for the public to also use the launch ramp?
Yeah, the
With
launch
guide
ramp would be
posts.
totally, we aren't gonna,
Okay.
no, they-
So where you see parking it would not interfere with either of the two lanes going into the water.
I don't think so, no.
I don't think you'd be able to use the west side, west lane. You'd have to
Yeah.
restrict it to one lane, but again, by then, traffic's minimal. We've already talked, I think, a little bit with you about having somebody there monitoring. I mean, they all pick slots. They get 20 minutes to get their boat ready to, or get their boat in the water. They gotta be ready to go when they pull up to the crane.
Yeah.
And they gotta disappear immediately.
Yeah,
As
we
long as
can,
the public can still use it, I think.
Oh, yeah,
it's
they'll be,
important
yes,
that
absolutely.
the
Well,
Public. is
to my
still-
mind, yes.
One of the two ramps.
and we can control
That's
the,
fine.
we have the ability to tightly control the times
Yeah.
that all that's used as
Is
well.
that a make or break sort of a thing?
I think it's fairly important. I mean, John Kuhn could answer more definitively, but it's fairly important.
Our intention is to give the competitors a slot of time
to operate at Irish.
But I don't think that it's realistic to assume that, you know, if we have 45 boats, I think 15 of them will trailer launch. It's always possible, it's just really, really hard. The boats have carbon foils, they're all pretty delicate. The trailer launching is not great for the equipment. So people really prefer to have a crane, lower their keel, check their appendages, all the stuff, and launch the boat that way. And it's, you know, it's just a little bit more involved, so, you know, I think it'd be in our best interest, and if 10 or 15 boats launch ramp and 15 to 25 boats use the crane there, and then the balance, some of the boats have to be completely measured to comply with all the specs. And it's kind of a lottery as to who gets fully measured. Those boats will for sure have to be launched from Irish Boat Shop, because that's where the measurement will be completed. And that's where the boats are weighed, they're measured, the keels are templated, the masts are weighed, all of this.
Let me preface this with, I think this is a really, really cool event, and I'm thrilled that we have the chance to host it. I am concerned about the weekend, the fact that it's Festival of the Book. Are you concerned at all, knowing pushback that we've gotten from the public in the past about visuals of a crane being at Ford Park and now introducing a second crane?
Not particularly, no.
Okay.
Not September 22nd.
Why not? Because the people that live
If you
right
can't
across
deal with
there
it,
are there.
right.
Freaking waterfront, maybe this place isn't for you. I mean,
Well,
that's the way I
I'm
really
just,
feel.
like I said, I'm just
I'm not
repeating
guaranteeing this.
what has come up in years past.
Don't care.
I-
I really don't.
That's my point.
It's, I mean,
Stating that for the record.
that's not really important to me. Sorry.
You're gonna get pushback, big time.
My email address is available, so, yeah.
I can assure you, we've assigned a bosun to organizing the trailers, the launching, the parking, all that stuff. So I have a guy that's well equipped to handle all that, so it'll be nice and clean and neat over there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is the kind of thing that is really fun to watch if you're at all, like, if you're one of those people who likes to watch processes, things going down the line and all this stuff happening. It's that kind of thing, fun to put a time lapse camera on, and the kind of crane you're looking at is not like the crane on the barge. It's a clean, new, you know, two-purpose kind of a crane. I don't think it would have the same visual impact.
It's really compact too. when you look
Yeah,
at the
it's like
crane,
a
yeah.
telescope.
Thank you, that
Yeah.
helps.
Does this move around year to year, different places, every?
Yeah, it changes continents yearly, yes,
What's the likelihood of a place ever getting chosen twice?
high.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say, I mean, I think the more educated the public is about things like this and saying this is a really exciting thing and it's not gonna be an annual thing every year where Harbor Springs holds it. I think that might change the scope of
No,
how
but
people view it.
this really opens us up to being able to host other classes. Like the J111 class, for instance, we have more people buying that particular boat in Harbor Springs. And this really allows us to kind of jumpstart the collection of our infrastructure at the yacht club to offer like higher end inshore one design racing. So perhaps next year, we could host the J111 North American Championships where we would have like 15, 35-foot one design race boats and the 52s. And then, you know, maybe every 5 years we get to do a world championship or something.
One of the things that we have an advantage of, I think, here in Harbor Springs is that Traverse City has one of the largest Melges 24 fleets in the country. And I've been talking to them quite a bit, and they all say they're coming, but we'll see. But it's a great, I mean, they're only an hour and a half away, so. And we're gonna have boats from Italy and France and maybe South America and those guys too, so.
Yeah, go ahead. I love the idea. We are a water town. We are a boat racing town. And I think for even the Festival of the Book attendees, just seeing that, experiencing that is the reality of what our town is. I think it's who we are. And it's, yes, a busy weekend for the Festival of the Book, but I think the participants, especially the people that come in for the first time, would marvel at this, like what's happening out here. It's really exciting.
Absolutely.
You know, what a great opportunity we have to do this. Sure.
I think if you did some good PR for the local residents, who, many of them are not voters. I think we have to remember, lots of our local folks don't even ever come to the harbor. But if you did some really thought out, targeted PR work in the Harbor Light or wherever ahead of time to encourage people to come down and watch, I think you have a lot more acceptance.
Who do you suggest I speak with at Harbor Light? Because I've contacted Emily Meyer like 3 times without much success.
That's
Okay.
It would be a much better thing for the city as a whole if we were careful of that.
Yeah.
Rather than people being upset because it's so crowded. I think we have to spin that, you have to spin that a bit. And we have better acceptance for sure.
Well, I think you can precede it by some education too, some more-place articles and everything. To let people know what's coming before it comes here. And like, you know, maybe it's a couple, 3 different articles spread over a month or 2 ahead of time, 2 months ahead of time. Maybe it'll encourage some people to stay in town longer, just to watch it as well.
If you don't have somebody lined up working on a communication plan, I'd be happy to volunteer my husband.
Any other commissioners want to comment or maybe a motion?
Just one quick one, and that's nothing more than history has a way of repeating itself. You look back in 1895, Harbor Springs put on the largest water exhibit racing in all of the land. Over 7,000 people attended, lining the shoreline. Nobody worried about anything. They came out to see the boats and they came out to see the skulls. But that,
Most of us weren't around.
I wasn't around either. So it's a wonderful event. It will be noted all around the country. Nothing wrong with that.
All right, I'd like to have somebody go ahead and make a motion relative to the use of a crane for launching the Melgis 24 boats that want to be launched there at Ford Park, subject to the approval of the DPW and the police department.
I would so move.
I'll second.
Voice vote, good enough? Good enough for me. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks, Barry.
Thanks, Bear.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thank you very much. I'll be asking all of you for donations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on my agenda is,
Bill, can I make one more comment?
yes, absolutely, go ahead.
About the crane, I'll be getting together with Lucas and we'll figure out all the particulars of how that's
Yeah,
gonna
we
work
don't
out.
want to smash the sprinklers. or
And
anything.
one more thing about the crane is once they're done their work on any given day, they can leave and come back the next morning. So that'll eliminate that visual.
I
So
think, yeah, we'll have to put that together.
And I think that's
that's,
the PR, the.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
gonna work on
Yeah,
for sure.
Just trying to get ahead of public comment.
Alrighty, it has been suggested, that we change when we meet. Because a couple of times in the recent past, we bumped up against the zoning board of appeals, which has their meetings when they need to have them. They're not regular. Obviously, they're not having it today. And the second Wednesday at 5:30 in the afternoon, and we bump up against that because we're at 4 on the second Wednesday. I spoke to Jeff Grimm, who then relayed it on to Victor, inquiring as to whether, well, maybe they could move their meetings. And we got the reply that you all got in your packet, which shows how everything that goes on around here affects something else. And so every time you diddle with something, something else breaks. So I'd like to suggest that we schedule our meetings for next year tonight at our regularly scheduled times of the second Wednesday at 4 o'clock in June, July, and August. And see what comes back. We haven't had any input back from ZBA. They might not want to do that at all. And it needs to work through city staff and their schedules, because we can't just change it to 2 p.m. on the second Wednesday, because our secretary and city manager has a conflict with that. So it's more complex than it looks. So I'd like to move that we schedule our meetings for 2026, our regular meetings, June, July, and August, second Wednesday at 4 o'clock.
Could we have a little more discussion?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. There are no meetings scheduled on Thursdays at 4 o'clock. We wouldn't be asking anybody to move anywhere. And by meeting on Thursday, you wind up not having to be concerned about a July meeting being too close to the 4th, because you're 3 weeks past it. You wouldn't have any conflict at all. Nothing comes after us. It's the same day, a Wednesday, the same time at 4 o'clock. It's simply changing the day.
The second Thursday, Bill?
Yeah,
You're
the
saying?
third, yeah, the
Because right now, the third Thursday is some of the planning commission.
third Thursday.
That's planning for the third.
I was also wondering if we could add a September meeting. I never really understood, because most of us are here then, because they're here during the summer, why we never had a September meeting.
As opposed to October, or in addition
No,
to
in
October?
addition, because we have a lot of things come up in the summer
Or-
and it's hard to address.
Our bylaws
anything going.
specify that we have to have 3 meetings, one in June, July, and August. And then all the other meetings that we have are scheduled on an as needed basis. We've been doing October every year to set the rates. Sometimes we don't do that until later in the year because of issues that come up, but I'd just soon not have to change the bylaws. Because that's,
At a minimum.
That's at a minimum, so I
Right,
think we could
right.
add a September and we'll still do the rates in October. And I think that we should reach out to some of the commercial, like Wallstrom and Irish, and give them a little push to come to the October meeting and get their license, because I hate to have a lot of people have to Zoom like in May or April, and then they can't vote. So I would rather see a September, especially if things come up. Even if it's a short meeting, at least we'd be addressing, there might be things we want to work on, and it seems like we lose a whole month there.
We decide not to change the bylaws in our August meeting, we can certainly.
yeah,
say
we
we're going to have to-
decide in June to have a September meeting if we wanted.
But Rita, all the bylaws say is we just have to have June, July, August
Correct.
at a minimum.
So
So,
I'd like to schedule those. And then if we want to do something else, we can have a separate conversation on that.
We do a separate one, then it has to be a special meeting unless we have it already put in place. Comes under a different guideline. That's why changing it now makes it uniform. You don't have to change it again. Because every time you do it, you have to call a special meeting with different rules.
which meeting was Jeff
We're,
Grimm?
I don't have the bylaws in front of me, or, the meeting we had in May was referred to as a regular meeting.
But then you probably set it the year of that. You guys get to set your meeting date for the next year. So once you set it, then I think it becomes Rachel.
Yeah,
a regular
that's better.
meeting.
So per bylaws, you have to meet
At a minimum.
those at the minimum, June, July, August. You set your meeting dates. So for instance, if you all said we want to meet in April and you would set that as an annual meeting date, that would not be a special meeting.
Right.
Now, if you met in August, and said, well, we need to schedule one for September, even without, then it's a special meeting. If it goes off your annual meeting, then it'd be a special meeting.
So it would be okay to set it now for June, July, and August, sorry, August, September. And October, and if we didn't need one of
Yeah,
those.
you could plan not to
cancel.
meet, or you could do what Phil suggested and say we need to add a September meeting and just simply make it a special meeting.
And, but when they're a regular meeting too, I think the bylaws of you guys, I know council's better. You are required as regular commissioners to be at a certain number of your regular meetings. When you schedule
Yeah,
a
certain
special meeting, then it gives people a buy to not show up. So you have to decide what's more important to you about that.
Like I said, everything is connected to something else and you pull on one thread.
Well,
Now, most of the people seem to be around in September, whereas in April and May, I noticed on the 1 May, we had a hard time getting a quorum. And we had to keep moving it around, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's Article 4, Section 2, regular meeting schedule.
And we did meet in May this year too, May 14th.
Right, but that was hard to get the quorum, if I remember right, it was changed a few times.
Yeah.
It seems like we often
We
have
needed
met
to
in
do
May
that
though.
because we needed to move the building forward. We waited till June, then the whole building process could have got.
But to your point, Bill, if we have it scheduled and we choose not to do it, that's okay.
Yeah.
Then it's not
Yeah.
trying to put a special meeting. You have them scheduled, they're already there, you can always go in and not have it. You can do it.
To Nancy's point, Article 2, Section 4, attendance at meetings. Any member of the commission shall be subject to removal by the city council whenever that member has missed more than 1/3 of the meetings of the commission. So
and that's regular meeting.
regular meetings. So if somebody's off racing, cruising, whatever,
Well, they said if we had 6 meetings, you can miss 2, still make 4, and you're still on.
If you have 3 and you miss 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you have 3 and you have
You're on
1.
thin ice.
I don't think anyone has ever, it's not automatic.
Yeah.
No,
You
it's
may
not
be subject, if the rest of the commission goes, you're worthless, get out.
That doesn't mean you're just gonna. Yeah.
And if they're regular meetings, then that enters into it. If it's a special meeting, a special meetings only have to be called 18 hours ahead. So it's tough to require people to go if they're halfway across. But if they're regular meetings, then it just speaks to the commitment level of your commission.
And this is one thing, if we had had a September meeting, I met with Victor actually at the beginning of September, as soon as I saw on the drawings about this window. And Victor and I sat down and talked about it, but we didn't have a meeting in September. And like right before Festival of the Book is when that bigger window went in. If we could have met in September, we would have been having a different kind of conversation with Mark than we are now in October. So that's why I'm kind of saying there could be some things that come up that we really need to discuss in September that we see happening over the summer. And by missing that whole, it's almost like 2-month time frame, you don't get to discuss those. So what day do we want to be on? The zoning board, is that the one Jeff's talking about moving?
The zoning board of appeals is the one that currently follows us. It's by-
Yeah, the
Follows
zoning board, yeah. So he's thinking maybe they might move that one.
Yeah, he did
Or
not
the
say that.
planning.
He did
Oh,
not say that.
okay.
He said he needed to review it with staff. And so that is a possibility which would solve our problem without us having to change. the
and they
way
only
we do
meet when they
things.
have to.
Correct.
How often is
Bill,
the been cut? We had last week. That's the only one
I think
remember.
a couple of times. It
Yeah.
doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, we had
Now
a
I
couple
recall the
meetings
one
that were
time.
like this, but then when you have a big meeting, yeah.
I recall only one time, this last time, where that was a problem.
That's what
I don't remember any other time.
I remember one other, but that doesn't mean much. Okay, so I didn't make a motion, did I? I made a suggestion. Okay,
Are
so
there any other people that semi-commute or here are all through Harbor Springs full-time? I'm
I'm here.
migrating this way, but I'm still downstate, so middle of the week for me personally, and I don't know if anybody else shared this, isn't as convenient as something closer to a weekend.
Right.
So if it was all the same, I would choose a Thursday or a Friday or something, or a Monday or Tuesday. It's not a huge thing.
Right, and if we did that second Thursday, that would help you. And it would also get us off any of these that we see right here, and then they can work around us. If we, the second Thursday.
I don't see any reason not to do that.
Eric, would it help if the time was a little later? I notice a lot of the commissions, except for DDA and tree board, are usually around 5:30.
It doesn't, that doesn't, it's
Okay.
not sensitive. It's either on, and I'm often here anyway, but it's just,
Yeah.
there are times like today when it's a special trip,
Right.
and that's okay, because any excuse to come hang out with you guys is great, but.
But sometimes people might want to attend the meeting, and if they work, it's hard for them too. So that's why I just kind of threw that out there.
I don't see a
Okay,
downside to
so
going to Thursday and then just figure out the time.
So is, I don't know if we have a consensus that we need to move.
I
Or,
would wait for your motion until you have the date and time.
yeah,
That way it's
Okay.
not-
does everybody think we need to do something right now about this?
And Instead
As
of wait
opposed
till
to-
when.
Well, usually at the last meeting of the year, which this may be, maybe,
I think.
we set our schedule for the following year.
Mhm.
So usually it's just like, okay, here's what we're doing, and everybody's cool, and down the road we go. Last week, we got bumped up against ZBA, so it's fresh in everybody's mind. I'm inclined to stick with precedent personally, unless, you know, we really need to do something different, but it's not entirely up to me.
So you would think, you would go in June, July, August, and then in August, if we think there's some things coming up, we would say then that we want a September meeting.
We could do, yeah, we could do it.
Because
at
we
any-
seem to be
at-
doing the October one. It
Yeah.
might not say it there, but we seem to be doing it,
We have, we've been doing.
at least the last 2 years.
So I'd like to schedule the three that are required by our bylaws the same way we always have. And we can all think about it. We could discuss it with staff. We can knock it around. If we want to make changes, we can do that.
And I'd like to see May through October scheduled. And if you miss 2, you're still 4. And we have an opportunity to take care of business while people are in town. People usually are here by May, and if they're going to go out of town, they're usually here in October. We're not creating any hardships for people, and we've already scheduled the meeting so they don't have to be special. If we don't choose to have it, if there's not enough information, we could always say, we're not gonna have that meeting.
So
But
you
by
want to,
having
you want to
that-
schedule 6 regular meetings
Yes.
at this point in time,
Mhm.
May through October,
Mhm.
on the second Wednesday at 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
Our precedent is that we have met in May and October.
Yeah, we
Several
have for the
times,
last
yeah.
number of years. Is that a motion?
that's a motion.
Support. John supports. I think we can do a voice vote. If everybody's comfortable with that. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Did we decide Wednesday at 4?
Wednesday at 4,
Second
May,
Wednesday.
May through October,
Second Wednesday,
second Wednesday.
so that did
4
not
o'clock.
change.
Yeah, so we still conflict with the ZBA, but we've got 6 meetings.
Yeah, we have more time to,
And we can change our mind
exactly.
in the future. All right, cool.
That was hard.
That was hard, but that was. All right. Now. Next on the agenda. Is the, what. I decided to call roundtable.
Right.
We got a couple of correspondence from. Mr. Wyman. And, I think a couple of commissioners, Lisa already addressed her issues with building. There were some other thoughts. Did you want to talk about your transient mooring idea, Bill?
Well, not so much I wanted to back up one step further. We had 2 meetings. We had one for Waldron putting in docks against their west wall. And then we had another one with Wallstrom dredging docks. I went back and looked at all the paperwork we were given, none of it is to scale. And if it was to scale, I think what we have created, it's an unintended concern. In that the boat slip that's going to be for the 70-foot boat, probably at 45-degree angles is what it showed, with stern to starboard. When the boat backs out, it's going to go to port. When it goes to port, you're gonna have a 70-foot boat in between Wallstrom, in front of the marina, which is Graham's, and the dock and the ferry. And we've always been concerned, I've heard it time and time again.
Before, right?
Sorry,
Yeah.
time and time again, we've always said about safety and congestion. That creates a great deal of congestion. I'm simply saying and bringing it to light that before things get too far and perhaps out of hand, it would be nice to see the drawings to scale as to what's going to happen in that corridor. But I don't think we haven't seen that. We've seen one and then we've seen the other, but when you put them both together,
Keeps it.
It's,
there's the walls from wall
No,
to the right, for your arrow, move your cursor to the right.
so you could, we've got,
Yeah, they're not to scale.
Yeah.
that is the scale.
We're talking about this one, right?
That's, well, no, that's the ferry dock. So, no, we can see it. So,
Okay,
yeah.
where she is, that's where the barge goes. And they wanna dredge just a
Where the
little
green
bit.
is, correct.
Correct, the lighter color is where it's really, really shallow. And then as you go to the right, which is east, you've got, two docks, there's Graham and I think the other one is, I think that's Wallstrom, actually, the next.
No.
The vacant space itself.
The finger piers,
Pierce is west and Wallstrom's east.
Correct.
Side.
and then the big concrete pier is where the new diagonal slips are gonna go parallel to that launch basin that they've got right there.
Which is roughly 45 degrees.
Right, now that is a comfortable distance and we're well defended by the shallow water from the launch ramp and from where Wallstrom Dock and Dredge, which is a separate entity.
Yes.
Confusing because everybody's last name is Wallstrom.
But when you dredge that out, it's not going to be a sheltered area.
They're not talking about taking all of that out. They're just talking about taking out enough that they can put their barge comfortably up against the, where they propose to put a little
Right.
landing.
But their drawing, it showed it taking all of it out. That's why I say it's not the scale.
Yeah, I think that, he's gonna come back around with some better drawings.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make everybody aware, it's a concern that I had just looking at it. And it's not a bulkhead, it is a seawall. Let's make no bones about it. It is a seawall with wings. And it'll have deadheads and tiebacks, cap and whaler. So it's a permanent addition.
if we do that.
And if you looked at it further, they wanted to go ahead and also ultimately do some paving. It becomes a bigger and bigger project, and I'm just bringing it to light that we need to really focus on the detail. If we have an opportunity, I personally would like to see this to scale drawing.
Yeah, I think in addition.
Oh, yeah, we're not gonna actually approve them doing something without engineering drawings.
Sure hope not.
It's just.
It seems like things get done without our consultation, right? All right.
At this point, they were just asking for, are you okay with us pursuing this?
Yeah.
So they're.
Well, and the other was, I went ahead and looked, they're also, excuse me. In looking at dredge content, that's what it's referred to. There is an environmental disposal process which has to be adhered to. Where does it go? How long it has to stay? And then there's the Corps of Engineer, the DNR, the state of Michigan, and maybe the tribe to be involved with all of those things. So it's far more, it was a nice presentation, but I think there's a lot of detail that needs to come out so that we can make an informed decision that affects everybody. And the reason I said that at the beginning was that point at Ford Park is the last point available for growth to get people on the water, particularly for small boats. It belongs to the city.
I also think that, we've talked a lot about Ford Park and what we might want to do or not do, and we know we want parking, we know we want who knows, maybe another launch ramp, whatever. As we're thinking about, and Doc and Dredge are doing their due diligence, we really need to think about Ford Park because we can't really piecemeal and put that seawall in, and then the whole park will have to be designed around that seawall. So we really need to think about our interests, as Bill said, also as being the only place you can launch watercraft. And how do we really want to use that park? Because once that thing is in there, then we're designing everything around it.
Agreed. I forget how we got there.
So I
That
think
was
where
just-
you were going with this,
You were asking about
Yeah.
added space.
then it goes to John Wyman's letter.
Right,
Right.
Right.
which we didn't get a chance to talk to first before the Wallstrom thing, or we, you know, we may have had a different feel for. Small boat sailors, the latest report from Little Traverse Sailors had 340 sailors in the program this year, youth sailors. And there are so many boats that don't get to the water. Irish is full. They've got lasers, they got 420s. They have a number of small boats that are basically by hand and launched. Looking at what we had in years past for launching kayaks was the dock and some AstroTurf and you slid off on it. That really, you're a small boat guy, John, you know, I mean, the idea of having a little ramp for a small sailboat to get into the water opens Ford Park up for what it is we said we wanted, and that's to get people to the water. Once we lose it, it's gone forever.
So
Yeah, what
What-
John's asking for is maybe, is there an area in Ford Park that could be used? Because one thing that came up is a laser down at, between Irish and LUIC. They had about 14 of them this year, and Irish really doesn't want that many there. So John was wondering about, you know, Ford Park or even Zoll, is there a way we could have some dolly launch sailboats there up by the restroom or whatever, so that they can launch either at Ford Park or they wheel them down to LTYC, but somewhere to keep some of those lasers that they're gonna be using for racing and things like that, because they're really just out of space there. And with the low water, that even makes some other issues. And that's why he asked secondly about the mooring field.
All right. I've got this kind of, some of his things broken out into sections for discussion. Your concept about modifying moorings is not something you want to pursue at this time?
It pales, I mean, it's all in here, and each
Right.
one of them, and I think.
Okay, okay, well, let me go back, because I have kind of an approach I want to take on this. We did do, in answer to some of Mr. Wayman's comments, we did do a committee study end to end of the entire waterfront, looking specifically at access for little boats in 2017. And we did a pretty thorough, we could do this and we could do that study of Ford Park in 2022. We had, for the small boats, I think we could definitely put with virtually no effort and just a consensus, unless I'm mistaken on this. Boats up to hand launched sail boats up to 14 feet at Zoll, up against the east side, the bushes next to the Weequay property. I believe at the time that we talked about that, the fact that that park is highly utilized by it's the dog beach. And that in the past, when we have had hand launched sailboats like that, specifically at Ford Park, we did at one point in time have a rack there with little boats.
Yeah, the rails are still there, but it's before the wall was put in.
Correct. It became a management nightmare because it was unruly and messy and people, there's always somebody that's like something. So anyway, that went away. under, geez, were you even, harbor master at that? No,
I was not, though.
Bob Bachram was, harbor master at the time. Mike, I would suggest, runs a tighter ship. And so maybe we'd have better success. I'd like to see us explore, using Zoll Street for lasers, sunfish, up to 420. 14 feet, I think, is a reasonable limit. Right now, our rules are, hand launch boats up to 12 feet, but it's not being utilized. As far, we don't have any like prohibition against using Zoll Street up against the.
No, we've had people use that for dinghy storage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so
Right.
it's basically not being used, you know, we're only talking about
It's used for kayaks. but not,
14.
you know.
But I didn't feel
Not
like
up
I
against that.
How about soft?
the valley and leave it. Remember when,
don't-
Katie had her boat down there
Right.
and we told her that she couldn't because, yeah, when I went down and measured, there's only a few dinghies that are right near the water. We do have still the rails that are in the in the grass. We could put at least 6 there, and would we envision running it like a wait list, or how would we envision that if we were gonna allow it? Because I think that would be a good place too, because I'd rather roll down the beach, stand in the water, put up my sail and go than have to try to, I used to get my laser down that kayak
Yeah,
dock and it was a
when
nightmare.
that area went from being a dirt road to being a beach, that was
Right.
done by community volunteers in the windsurfing community. And it was all done by local folks, most of whom are now up in the Crossfield or the Sturgeon Bay Yacht Club. So I'd be in favor of discussing that, which I think
Yeah.
is a reasonable.
We have a handle on what percentage of laser sailors are kids versus adults, and the reason I say that, I haven't showed up on my laser in a couple of years out there, but it's mostly kids, I think. And the connectivity with the yacht club is important, and Zoll Street's a long ways away.
It is, but you know what, right now they can't keep them there. Irish is not gonna let them keep them
Okay.
there. So that's the issue. They're looking for a home, so to speak.
And I
And
think,
there are quite a few people, Polk and I used to race and Sunny and, yeah, I'd say half and half. For like older kids, yeah.
and I've always kind of advocated for young people who are maybe not necessarily associated with the yacht club. I learned to sail there 1,000 years ago, and my first little boat was a Snipe that I trailer launched. But you know, I did that on the cheap. I paid $50 for that boat. You know, as a 15-year-old kid, and that's how I got out, you know, on the water, and the rest is history. So those kids that might say, hey, you know, I can buy I guess now you could probably score a reasonable sunfish for $200 if you're lucky. You know, that kid doesn't have a place, doesn't have a home here. And I think, you know, along that line, that would work. I don't want to get too far off into the weeds. I think what I want to do in the interest of time is kind of come up with from John's letter and comments, maybe a few things that we would really want to go to work on. I don't want to like change the way we run the waterfront today, but,
Okay, can I just make a couple comments?
Yeah.
If you remember Swamp Thing, that your son and my son were co-owners of.
I do.
A
I don't
different
remember
story.
what Turtle did on Crooked Lake.
Yeah, it's a lot of water in the hall itself. But I don't really think there's that much room there. It's pretty tight. Now we have the kayak wall on that other side. So I think we'd have to look at that. At one point, we had talked about close to the launch dock on the east side. Now, with the discussion about the dock and dredge potentially being there, that may not be possible anymore. Or is it possible to put in a storage like in the capacity area that's totally useless? You know, is there any possible way of trying to allow for parking
When we
trailers
did-
for people
when
with
we did the
permits?
study of Ford Park. And I may get these crossed up in my mind, because we did do a small boat study, we did a Ford Park study, and the Ford Park study, one of the things that came up was that the trees that are right butted up against Irish's building are becoming a problem. And the you know, the amount of stuff that's dedicated to trailers versus every other possible use it might be a problem that, you know, would fall under the same envelope. And there was a different way of laying out racks, where instead of everything being parallel to their building, you have something that sticks out a few feet. And so the boats are put in perpendicular, and you could put like 3 times the number of boats along the same wall space. And we could dedicate some of that to small hand launched sailboats if we wanted to. So that's another place we could do that. I think all this needs to get kicked around before we start actually saying we're gonna do it, but
Maybe an ad hoc committee that, or no?
I'd rather see it be, you know, one item that we want to discuss at the first meeting would be dolly launch sailboats, either having them at Zoll or having them at Ford Park, and what would be our options, and could we make it if it was at Ford Park less unruly? Is there a way we could make it a little bit more systematic, or at Zoll? And that would be one of the first items that we would talk about, and how many, and that would be one of our discussion items.
I
We could do an
would,
ad hoc
work
ahead of
on
time.
I would say let's do that.
We could
as a
do a little
discussion
ad hoc
item.
committee ahead of that, with some
Yeah.
more specific ideas.
I will dig up,
Or measurement.
I still have all of my notes and photographs and drawings and conjecture and whatever. I will send that to everybody via email.
Okay.
And then we can pick that up at our next meeting.
I do think if we're going to launch, laser sunfish type boats, we need a better docking facility. It's a.
At Ford, for sure.
Launch a sailboat off that.
Yeah, that's not well suited for that. So that's why we're not gonna do anything. We could launch at Seoul tomorrow.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah, so,
The other part about that is I had wanted to ask about that dock, the kayak paddleboard, whatever you want to launch there, dock.
Rowing skiff.
Yeah, rowing skiff. There's a lot of screw heads that are up. We try to use some duct tape on them as a stopgap. But it gets really slimy in the summer, and the edges of the wood is rough. And I've had Ann Wildrum and Barb Lindsay and quite a few of them corner me there and say, you know, our boats, and even my boat, they're getting scratched because we drag them down there, we put them in the kayak launcher, and they go over the edge. And this, one of the guys from LTS, that's Dave Gerber, he mentioned in Chicago, they use a lot of the AstroTurf. And they put that on it and wrap it right around the edge. So you wouldn't have that issue of the screw heads. And also it wouldn't get quite so slimy. It gets pretty slippery down at the end of that dock. So I'm kind of wondering if we can look at doing something for all those hand launched watercraft, because I am getting a lot of questions about it when I'm down there.
you know, I think docks are basically a consumable at some level, so replacing or upgrading or that, I think that absolutely falls under something we ought to do.
It's gonna be upgraded next spring. I've got enough lumber left over from the dock project from 5 years ago, I guess it is now, to replace all those dock boards. And we've already talked about putting AstroTurf in the edge with other folks, not people that have mentioned it to you. So it's in the works.
Yeah, and keeping the screw heads down. That's why I see blue tape and yellow tape.
Cool, so Mike is on it with that. There was another point brought up that I thought maybe we'd toss around. I don't feel strongly about this, but it was mentioned that one person holds more than one mooring, and John felt that was unfair. I don't know if that's enough of it. We do have our 29-day rule and that sort of thing to try to prevent people from helping themselves to more than their fair share. I don't know if that's something that people feel we would want to address, or.
In the future, I wouldn't recommend kicking somebody off the board if he's using it. But I think in the future, I mean, a family has only one type of dockage.
Well,
But we have to define family. So if my father had one and I had one, is that family?
No, you don't live together.
This is the
Do you live together?
can of worms.
No. But if you live together, maybe, but
No, I think,
Yeah, what his words were limit to one, there probably should be a comma there. Family moorings of the same kind from this day forward, so as not to injure those who have multiple under the old rules.
I think he means Lisa Nickel getting like a mooring, and then I'm on the wait list for a dock, and that comes up, and now Lisa Nickel has a dock and a mooring. I think he's kind of thinking that, to try to get more people on the water.
Okay, so at that point in time, what do we say? No, you have,
I'd have to
you
make a
have,
decision.
you have to give up your mooring if you want your dock.
Well, you'd have to make a decision, I guess.
I'm aware of one
Yeah.
case where someone who waited a very long time to get their place at the dock and also had for their powerboat and also has a sailboat on a mooring.
And I know.
Are we gonna tell that person, you know, you have to sell your sailboat? Thanks for being a good neighbor?
No, they're already
He
out.
was saying
What he's
moving
saying,
forward.
Going forward,
going
okay,
forward, not going back,
all right.
What if people have waited on the list
right?
fairly, and they're power boaters and sailors? We have both, and I mean, we don't
Yeah.
have both mooring.
But that, I guess, that was, I think, where he was going, because, and that's curious, I forgot to ask you, Mike, have we gotten any of the postcards back on our wait list information?
They just went out today,
Oh, okay. I was
and
thinking wrong.
the drop dead day is December 1st.
Okay,
And the list is going online.
Yes,
It
the
already
list
is.
is online.
right.
Yeah,
So that might help us with that, to really find out what our wait lists are and things like that. So maybe that's something we revisit after we get this information and find out where we really are with our wait list.
Our wait list is not unusual for any of the other marinas around the Great Lakes.
that's correct.
I did a survey and did a survey of several on the East Coast and West Coast as well. And our wait list is honestly right in line. And if you look at number of moorings, for example, per population, we are way ahead of the game compared to others.
oh, yeah.
Providence, Rhode Island, they have a wait list that is thousands of people and it's 30 years.
We do notice though,
It's a lot bigger too.
at a lot of East Coast places, they have a lot more moorings.
Yes, but their wait list is still the same amount of time. So the point is, not sure if you can build it to fix it.
Right. It's, I think, two different things, because one of the things we talked about was looking at expanding the mooring fields. And I know that the Little Traverse Sailors, John was talking with Dave Gerber about this. That they would like to try to accommodate like a start mooring for their 420s. And, you know, as
A what mooring?
a star
Star.
mooring, it's one that would be kind of like a hexagonal, and the 420s would actually be pulled up on it. And you have one mooring contact.
A star mooring, Lisa.
Gotcha.
That's a
Yeah.
star,
Oh, you said start.
no, star mooring. And if it was at, you know, the very east end, they actually like that better because the kids have more wind out there to take off. Because of the low water, they are having some issues and they really have nowhere to go, as we know, with Sutter's Dock on one side and Irish on the other. They really have nowhere to go. And so that was one of the thoughts, you know, we'd like to encourage education of sailors, and as Carter brought up, the demise of sailing. And, you know, we'd like to have that and get more boaters. And if we ever did have an opportunity, and I don't know when we looked at it ever last, of expanding the mooring field, that was, I know John and Dave, one of their requests were to have one mooring that could be dedicated to like a star type mooring.
Only the farthest one out.
Yeah.
Well, I related to moorings, I don't think this is the time for the discussion, but in the harbor rules and regulations, 2013, there's a section 12 that speaks to the no subassignment on a lease or slips or moorings, and it really refers to if there's two co-owners of a boat, whether they're married or not, they're legal partners on a boat, and one of them buys the other one out, but the mooring or the slip is in the name of the person that's selling their part of the boat out. So the person that stays with the boat, it's a new owner, won't have access to that mooring any longer, the way that it reads right now. Now, it's like for a married couple, if a spouse, they get divorced, or somebody dies, then that transfer is more recognized. So I have an example of that, of two people that own a boat. The mooring is on the name of one of the two owners. And if the owner that isn't on the mooring name wants to buy the partner out, that's name is on the mooring, they might, the way this reads, they wouldn't have access to the mooring. So I think we need to look at that rule again, because I looked at the list, on the wait list online, which I think is great that you can see it online now. Multiple names, two names, but many of them look like they're married because they're so-and-so, no, Donnelly, whatever. And there's some that were two different names. They may or may not be married, it doesn't matter. I mean, a couple is a couple. So I think we need to look at that. Now, you and Mike and I talked about that briefly after the last meeting. I know you kind of defended the reason for it, but I think is now not the time to talk about it, but I think it's something we should talk about at the beginning.
That's why I wanted to have a roundtable. I wanted, there are all kinds of, most of these issues that we deal with, we've dealt with for decades. And they kind of cycle back around as people's, the logic kind of disappears into the ether, wherever it goes. And then we have to go back and revisit. I would say, going back to the star mooring concept, one of the core principles that we ascribe to, according to the harbor plan, and every harbor plan since '81, when the first one came out, is that we seek to not give an advantage to any particular constituency, which I think the Little Traverse Sailors, and I'm a fan, that would be to say, okay, we're going to designate one mooring from the public trust that we're supposed to be guardians of, and we're going to give it to those guys. And I think it runs counter to the a lot of the fundamental logic that we've used to maintain the harbor over the years. I got off of my my plan of delivery here, but I want to throw a couple more things out, and then if anybody else has something they want to bring up, I have one more thing that I'm going to save till the end.
Before you start that, can we put that item on the agenda for the meeting next year? My question about the ownership of the owner. I don't want that.
For the mooring field in general.
Yeah, or this whole
The
discussion
basis
about
of
mooring.
two or whatever,
It would
Yeah,
take.
let's put mooring field review on the agenda.
A lot of those names on there that I'm seeing are the children of adults, and I've seen some of my friends who they've had their kids go in and reserve, and it's all for future planning. I don't know how we're gonna stop that.
Yeah,
So it's not all husband and wife, I guess.
but I'm talking about if they already have a mooring.
Yeah.
And there's a partnership on a boat that's
So-
on that
So I
mooring.
don't need to put Cory on the list. I can just put her on the title of my boat, and then when I die, she gets my mooring.
So,
well,
By your logic.
Not her.
Terry,
That's right. I don't think it should be.
So to clarify, you're talking that these two people have a relationship. It's not just a business deal,
Right.
right?
Not a-
Because I had a situation this past year that I had a business deal with our sailboat and another person. The other person, partners in the sailboat, and everything was by the record.
Right.
The other person got ill. The mooring was in his name. He got out. I lost the mooring.
There you go.
I'm in Bay Harbor.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so if what you're saying, we have to be careful, because otherwise I would have jumped ahead on the mooring list ahead of people waiting 20 years.
But you already
Yeah,
had the
so-
mooring, you were on the mooring, you were part
Let's
owner of that
agree,
boat,
we're
right?
gonna,
No,
let's agree that
You
we're
had
gonna
the
put the
I
mooring
lost the
field as one of our topics, going forward. And in the interest of time, since it's 6 o'clock here, I'll throw out a couple little stats that I did just Kate, because I thought it was interesting. Of the moorings, 17 are city residents, 20 are in the immediate townships that have 49740 zip codes, and 28 are from out of the area. And I
You say out of the area, Bill, do you mean?
something that's not the two surrounding townships or the city.
Bill, does that mean that they're not at Weekly or Harbor Point?
Weekly and Harbor Point are both within the townships.
I know, but their mailing address may be not a cottage.
These are just numbers that I
Okay, just clarify.
gleaned off the list. The docks did not have the townships listed, but did have zip codes. 15 or 49740 and 14 are not, and that's their winter address. Okay, I use winter address as the basis for thing. And of the kayaks, 43 are 49740 and 32 are not. And of those, there are a whole bunch, there are 9 different states represented in those 32 non-Harbor Springs. So it's a big.
But so it even gets bigger. I sat with the postmaster, 49740-1511 is Harbor Springs, Route 1 and 2.
None of that information was available to me.
No, but all the other.
Completely unscientific.
Oh, I know, it's difficult, Bill. I'm pathetic. We all got a copy, and as brief as I can, from Michael. This was the city of Harbor Springs, the 2025 seasonal dockage rates and other charges. If you notice, under launch ramp permits, there is an asterisk next to seasonal resident. And the definition is the city of Harbor Springs, West Traverse Township, and Middle Traverse Townships are all considered resident. But if you go down to seasonal moorings, that same asterisk appears, but the definition is different. It says registered voter or taxpayer in the city of Harbor Springs. So there's a big difference between who's on first and who's on second.
We should clean that up.
Yeah. And if to back into it, we're on the hook for 75% of the new building. And what do we make this year? 500,000? That means we're coming up 200,000 short.
That was top line. We also had expenses.
Yeah, well, I know.
Right. So we can, at some point in time, work on our demographic data as well. All right. Last thing I'm going to talk about. This may or may not be my last meeting, depending on what the council going forward decides to do. And that's true of some of the other people sitting here. We're all on here for 4 years at a time. My term is up. But I do want to leave, I'm going to pass these. We don't need to read these, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. Everybody can copy and you can do with it as you see fit. But I just wanted to share some thoughts in case I never see you guys. So anyway, broad concepts that have helped me think this stuff through over the years. I think it's important to respect precedent. Okay, the prior harbor plans, prior debates, prior decisions, all the reason that this town is as cool as it is we don't make decisions on the fly. We do stuff slowly, we do it reasonably, we take time and work it all through. Perfection is just a concept. If you can please most of the people, you're better than most of us. There's a phrase you can Google if you're really bored called the tragedy of the commons. And basically that goes back to Old English where a community would have a common area and people would bring their cattle in to graze, and you get more people, you get more cattle, and pretty soon there's nothing left to graze. Okay, and I think that applies when we're talking about marketing the town. You know, we bury the town in the summertime where you can't find a place to park, the trash is overflowing. That's tragedy of the commons. The public trust doctrine speaks to the right of the common man to access the water. And that goes back to the 6th century. Law of the sea is basically if somebody's in trouble, you go and you help them, whether it's, inconvenient or not. It's kind of different than the way things roll on land these days. You could also look up the custom of the sea, but I'd caution you about that. in harbor, the federal government owns the water. We do not own the water. The state of Michigan owns the bottomlands held in trust for the public. It's not our bottomlands. That's why I question the, putting the anchors down there. That doesn't belong to us exclusively. The city does have jurisdiction out to a half mile from shore, which is actually, I measured it on Google, and it's further than I used to think. We are what's called a home rule city, which means we make our own rules. It's different than like being a township or something like that. We've got more authorities than, and we ought to defend those. Riparian rights are different on the Great Lakes than they are on the inland lakes, and the public has freedom of navigation. Some of the stuff we've done over the years, the reason we're able to fix this building and fix the ramps and do that sort of thing, and we try to designate our dollars within the city functions for infrastructure, and general fund taxes do not go to the docks. So if somebody lives up on Lake Street, doesn't care, they are not paying for the docks, the boaters are. I think having our own marine patrol is an underappreciated win. They know what looks in place and what's out of place and what's a problem and what's not a problem. And our little harbor is wonderful. And part of that is that we have our own police department. We tried, when we did the last low water, we were talking about what you do with the tailings. There was a concept, and we actually had an engineering study done to create more parkland kind of around where the 2-hour dock is, using that stuff as fill. And the engineering people floated the decimal point over one digit. And the DNR person said, "You want to put 100,000 yards of what?" No. And that was the end of that. So there was also opposition from the neighbors, but I thought it was a great idea. We already worked on the building, so we could scratch that off. I wrote this a while ago. The boaters paid for it, and the city owns the east dock, and that is a big win for us because we can do what we want with that east dock, because we didn't take state money for it. And the way that you do that is we run a tight ship, we save up our cash, and we can buy docks and infrastructure and stuff like that. So that's really important. The ferry people bought the ferry dock, and we own it. So we now have public transportation from the water. Somebody who doesn't own a boat wants to get on the water, they can get on the ferry, and it's right there. And it actually, it goes right through the historical district, and it meshes with the way the town's put together. And those are all of those little strings that ties together. The tennis courts are now Marina Park, which is fairly popular. That was very controversial at the time. You know, it didn't come to blows, but people were giving each other stink eye pretty seriously about taking out the tennis courts. And the wake. So the wake will always be a problem. I think we haven't talked about attenuation or anything like that, but I was able to keep my little boat in slip 25 during that last easterly blow, and I didn't like it very much at all. It was bouncing all over the place. So wave attenuation. The other thing on wakes is with the increase in these huge displacement power boats, they all come around the point and their wake converges in on the end of the point, and it is causing serious erosion out there. You don't notice if you don't watch it over time, but we're losing incrementally the end of the point to those wakes. Plus, they're rude.
The safety,
And
I've been
effective.
flipped over twice out there where I thought I heard it coming, but I couldn't turn fast
that's-
enough.
yeah,
As they
and
get close to the shallows, the waves get even larger.
I don't know what to do about that because it's, it goes back to just people aren't as nice as they ought to be, but the law
Yeah,
is that your wake is an extension of your vessel,
You are.
and the owner's responsible. So even if the owner's not on board, unfortunately, you have to have like an injury or loss of property to even do anything about it. I don't know. At one point in time, Keith McLaughlin, who owns Toscan Sands, is a great guy, was on the commission, and he tried to rally us to do some sort of an educational fund, an educational thing to like make a video or something. And it's getting to where we've got the talent in town, we can make a really cool video for not very much money. That we get a lot of volunteers if we wanted to, that maybe would have an effect. I think the biggest way you can do it is just by shaming people. It's like, what's wrong with you? Because, you know, we've all seen it. We've all seen it. So anyway, those are, what I hope are not my parting comments, but.
Well, you'll be back next month,
Are we scheduling another meeting?
are we?
Not that I'm aware of. I think we're good to go. Unless anybody else has anything else they want to say.
Comment.
Thank you.
Nice
Yeah.
in the year.